All right, is the Honorable Mandingo there?
Yes, sir. I, the Mandingo, give thanks and praises to the Almighty Creator, Ra Olodumare Chukwu, this Sunday, the 13th of September, 2015. Right now, as it is, I am on the way to a venue in South London to pay tribute to Rico Rodriguez, the legendary Jamaican trombonist who passed away on Friday the 4th of September 2015, which was also the birthday anniversary of my father. Yes. And let me just also say that this coming Thursday is the birthday of my teacher, Marcus Garvey Jr., who was born on the 17th of September in Jamaica. Marcus Garvey Jr., who was the head of his father's organization until he retired some time ago, and he was my physics teacher at Kingston Technical High School in Jamaica in the 1960s, as well as the member of the African Nationalist Union political party that he and I, Brother Cyril Stewart Elder, who was the secretary of the organization, and Brother Thomas and others founded. The political party in 1968 in Jamaica, known as the African Nationalist Union. It was later on that, of course, he became the head of his father's organization, the Universal Black Improvement Association and African Communities League. I say black because the word for black in Spanish is Negro, and Marcus Garvey is a man who spoke Jamaican, English, and Spanish, because he traveled widely in countries like Panama, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Colombia, Venezuela, etc. in his lifetime. So when you hear the word Universal Negro Improvement Association, the word Negro means black in Spanish. So it's a Universal Black Improvement Association and African Communities League. Let me just say congratulations on the ongoing efforts of President Mugabe of Zimbabwe and other Africans of ZANU-PF for continuing the fight to reclaim our land from the European colonialists in Africa. And there is a book out about those Africans who are trying to, because they are Muslims, who are trying to make Nigeria and the rest of Africa a Muslim part of the Muslim Caliphate. And there's a brother, an Igbo brother from Nigeria, brilliant scholar by the name of Chinwezi, who admires Marcus Garvey and praises Marcus Garvey, who has written a book about this attempt by African Muslims, Boko Haram, that type, to conquer and to kill Africans who do not submit to Arab Muslim domination. And this is a book that is out, and next week, Sunday, I'll give further information where this is concerned. Definitely. This talk by me for today will be a bit brief because of what I have to do, but as we say, the show must go on. Jeremy Corbyn won the election to be the Labour leader yesterday, Saturday, the 12th of September 2015, and he was the best choice to win. Definitely Jeremy Corbyn was the best choice to win because of all the four candidates. The policies that he has are most suited for the improvement of Africans. Of course, he's a socialist, and we are neither socialists nor capitalists. We are Africans with our own indigenous and native ideology. But what is happening is that the other three people who were involved are basically the same like the Tories who are in power. One of the things that I support Jeremy Corbyn with is that over the years he has denounced the invasion of Iraq, denounce the invasion of Libya, and denounce the British regime aligning itself with the Americans and the French and other NATO regimes to invade other people's countries in order to control other people's countries and their resources and their people. So I salute and I am glad that Jeremy Corbyn won, despite the viciousness of the Rupert Murdoch press and also the Evening Standard owned by that Russian turncoat and a lot of the other daily media and radio stations and TV stations.
Also, Brother Mandingo, even Tony Blair himself.
No, not even Tony Blair. Not even. He's one of the biggest opponents, enemies of Jeremy Corbyn. In fact, what he actually said was that anyone who supports Jeremy Corbyn needs to have a heart transplant. So when Jeremy Corbyn won yesterday overwhelmingly with 59.9% of the vote, over 250,000 people voted for him, overwhelming victory. One of the placards read in support of Jeremy Corbyn to tell Tony Blair, well, over 250,000 people will need heart transplants then. You know? So, Tony Blair.
And I saw something on the internet this morning where the opposing party, the leader, that's
David
Cameron, saying this is very bad for Britain. So obviously they are scared of his policies.
Yes, he said that the election of Jeremy Corbyn, he says that Jeremy Corbyn is against the national security,
yes,
and the economic interests of the British and people who live in Britain, and that's a total lie. A total lie. What happens is that Jeremy Corbyn has denounced what he did in invading in Libya and thus causing the murder of Colonel Gaddafi, and that Jeremy Corbyn has denounced his involvement in arming the rebels in Syria, because in arming and supporting, financing the rebels in Syria in order to overthrow President Assad, what you're actually doing is arming and supporting IS, the Muslim terrorists. This is what you're actually doing.
But over the years, that's what they actually been doing. Where they're supporting one party who in the end turn round against them.
Well, the thing about it is that Jeremy Corbyn has a track record of denouncing British invasion in countries like Libya, Iraq, and other countries in the world. And he says that if he is the Prime Minister, he will stop that type of thing. And of course, people like Cameron and so on, they do not want that. And people like Tony Blair, who are warmongers. In fact, Tony Blair and George Walker Bush should be at the Hague facing trial as war criminals, because they have caused the death of hundreds of thousands of people in Iraq. They are war criminals. But you notice at this racist international so-called criminal court in Europe, in The Hague, it is designed almost exclusively for Africans. You see no European head of state really, hardly, being brought as war criminals. And people like Henry Kissinger, the former U.S. Secretary of State, that's Foreign Secretary in British terms, and Tony Blair and George Walker Bush, people like that should be at The Hague if justice was operating to face trial as war criminals.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
You know, when you look back on what they done to Iraq and now what they done to Libya, and to see the
and things that they have done throughout their history.
Throughout their history, yes.
Just the latest. For hundreds of years, they have been doing this type of thing.
Definitely.
For hundreds of years, they have been doing this type of thing. You know, the wonder of technology is that you, dear Silver Fox, you are in the studio, and where I am in transit, but we are able to communicate. You know, one of the sad things that occurred was that I was watching a program on RT, that's the Russian TV station, a documentary showing where women in India were forced to wear white clothing and are not allowed to remarry when their husbands die. But yet husbands who are widowers can marry as many times as they want. It shows the discrimination against women. Very, very bad. And in these cases, you have many cases of the sons of these women who are now widows being thrown out of their homes by their very sons, their biological sons. There was a practice in India whereby whenever a husband died, his wife, his widow, was burnt on his funeral pyre.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? And what they used to do is that the people in the crowd used to have long poles so that if the woman tried to come off the pile of wood, it was burning their husband and themselves, they would use the poles to push the woman back onto the fire. And they claimed that this was done for spiritual salvation. What wickedness. This is an aspect of Hinduism which is wrong. Of course, this practice was banned in the 19th century. And what I have to do is to commend those Indians, both males and females, who are fighting this evil practice that women who have become widows are not allowed to remarry and are forced to beg to survive. There is a Brahmin. A Brahmin is one who comes from the high so-called caste in India. And he has set up a place providing homes for these women, unfortunate women. And in 1968, he started setting up toilets because in India, only the untouchables, known as the Dalits, D-A-L-I-T-S, deal with toilets, with excrement. Yes, this is the situation. So all praises to this Brahmin, Bindi, who is doing things to help these women, providing homes for them, work for them, money, etc. And there's also another woman who is also helping these women also. And there's a young Indian man who works at the place where these widows live. He's 22 years old and he's working. So it goes to show that some people in India are doing the right thing. You see, you have good and bad people in every society, in every race. And let me tell you, you know, they talk about veils. Do you know that there's been a lot of condemnation by Europeans in Britain and in France, etc., about Muslim women wearing veils? The practice of wearing veils, for the record, coming from Ida Mandingo, telling it like it is not a Muslim practice. The practice of wearing veils started many, many years before Islam came with its founder, Muhammad. So it's a practice that predates Islam. And there's nothing in the Quran, nothing said by Muhammad that tells people, women, that they must wear veils. It's a lie. It's a cultural practice that predates Islam. And guess what? Women, thousands of years ago, wore veils in Europe. Nothing to do, but you know, Europeans don't talk about that. Yes, women in Europe were forced to wear veils, just like our women in Europe were forced to wear chastity belts.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
But they're always talking about other people.
Always.
Talking about what they do. Yes, very, very hypocritical, you know. And, you know, I have to give praises again to my parents. My father was a headmaster who taught me poetry along with other subjects, you know. And my mother, who was my first teacher and who always educated me. I think that we must stop in our African culture is this practice to a female circumcision. It's genital mutilation. It is wrong. It is not everything in every culture is right. Whatever practice or practices is or are wrong, we must stamp them out. So the practice of circumcising women is a practice that must stop because it is designed by unscrupulous and oppressive men to control the sexuality of women.
Yes, definitely.
It is a practice that must stop. Yes, it causes many severe biological problems for women. They have problems in urinating. They have problems because they have been sown in childbirth, etc., and that type of thing. It is something that we must definitely stop, you know?
Yes.
And so on. And I want to give a quote by my teacher, Marcus Garvey Jr., who on the 17th, Thursday the 17th of September coming up, it will be the anniversary of his birthday. I want to give a definition that he received a meritorious award for when he defined light as an electromagnetic form of radiation emitted by the sun or any other hot source which stimulates the senses and causes the sensation of vision. And he taught us that when he was teaching myself and others physics at Kingston Technical. At the time, as a physics teacher, this was what, when he was studying physics, this was the definition that he gave, and he got official praises for this definition of light. So, as I said, today is not the usual 2-hour program, but it is better to have some show than no show. And Brother Silver Fox,
yes,
I sent to you a list of records that I wanted to be played.
Yes.
So I want you to play all of these records, but I want you to start with Black Woman. And of course, I definitely want you to play my product, Every Little Thing by Sugar Minot and General Echoes, African National Heroes, Marcus Garvey, Burning Spear, Wolf.
I've got them all lined up, Mandingo.
You have them, right. So I want you to play and just keep telling the people that you're playing them, but they are my selection.
Yes. You know, Mandingo. Hello?
Perchance, do you think that this show shall be repeated so that I can tell other people?
I'll repeat it at 10 p.m.
At 10 p.m. tonight, you will repeat the show.
I'll repeat
it will be from 10 until midnight.
Yes.
So definitely, I will be telling people this for sure. You know.
Yes.
And it's really a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to that dance on Friday, the 30th of October in Luton.
Yes. It's getting good feedback at this moment.
With Lloyd Coxon, myself as Mandingo, Flavor, I Spy, and the name of the other sound, I think it's Gemini.
Yes, Gemini in Luton.
Yes. And the flyers really look good. The flyers really look good, you know. And yesterday I was at the Independence Anniversary Dance for St. Kitts and Nevis and it went very, very well. Artists who performed were Paulette Tadger and Winsome, and it was very, very good, you know, celebrating their independence. Definitely.
Brother Mandingo, as a journalist and a person in the music, very knowledgeable, there's something I want to bring up briefly and that we can expand on another time.
Do that quickly, yes.
Vybz Kartel has been convicted for murder, right?
Yes.
And at this moment in time, he's still being able to release records that are doing well on the charts all over the world.
Yes.
What is your opinion on that?
Well, to be honest, you know, this is really very, very unheard of. Because if you're in prison, you're not supposed to be able to be recording and making records. Because that has never happened before. That when you're in prison, this means that he's being given special privileges.
Privileges.
To be able, yes.
And let me just say this for people who are listening.
Jacquier, there was a bit of that
with Jacquier.
Remember that Jacquier actually became a star whilst he was in prison.
Whilst he was inside, yes.
Yes, it was the same process. I mean, I knew Jacquier before he became a star. In fact, a lot of people do not know that Jacquier came here once. And I met him when he came here when Barry Salmon carried him here years ago. But that time he was not a star yet. Barry Salmon had recorded him and released a 45 with him and so on. But it was when he was in prison that he became a star.
Yes.
So what Vybz Kartel is doing, it's the same type of thing.
Yes.
It's the same type of thing. And what this is doing, it is a total departure from the norm. But I think that in future, let us discuss this.
In great length, yes.
In future.
Yes.
But I'm just stating the facts as they are. So I am just saying, just please play those songs and we will talk again.
All right. So
I might phone before 8 o'clock to give you an update on further things. But for the time being, it is I, Mandingo, speaking to you, Silver Fox, on my straight to the point, direct straight to the point, this Sunday, the 13th of September, 2015. Mandingo the Garveyite.
All right, so we're going to start the music section with Black Woman by Judy Mowat. So yes, Mandingo, we will talk in future.
Yes, and keep listening. Thank you.